Hello, everyone on the podcast universe, and welcome back to the Well, Nothing's Happening podcast. I'm your host, Dave, and I believe the last time I talked to you all was actually right before me heading off to the beach to do one of my interviews for residency. So, I just figured that I should log on to here and really give you guys a couple of updates in terms of how that went. So, in general, I just wanted to give a disclaimer. I am not trying to, say negative or positive things about the program I'm applying to. Hence, why I'm not saying the name or giving you any exact kind of details that's really going on. But ultimately, I just kind of want to give you guys kind of my experience of just kind of what was going on in my brain and what was kind of happening. And also, don't forget, interviews are very, very subjective. And so, what I'm kind of saying that's in my brain might be a lot different than what the interviewers' brains were thinking or what the other residents were thinking. So, this is just kind of just what I felt I was thinking and the best portrayal of my internal dialogue as I was going through this interview. So that's my disclaimer. So the interview was specifically yesterday, and I drove down Thursday afternoonish. So Thursday afternoon, I'm just going to start there. Thursday afternoon, I had my site consult rotation, and I thought I was going to get out early. I really wish I would have gotten out early, but apparently every patient in the world decided to come that day, and so I ended up having to stay later than I should have, I suppose. And so, it was whatever. I'm doing the rotation, I'm going to do the work, not really going to complain about it, it's fine. Just because, again, check-in for the hotel wasn't until like 4, so it was completely fine. So, did my work, and I left around maybe like noon or so from Columbia to drive to Florence, which is where my house is. And so I ended up getting some food at the house and, got to enjoy being there for like an hour. I saw my roommate. She was doing one of her interviews, and I basically waved at her, and then I immediately left. I actually think she was completing her interview as I was literally leaving to go to mine, or at least check into my hotel. So basically, I left Florence, went over to the coast, and basically checked in my hotel around like 4, and I basically was like, this program's only paying for 1 day, so that means I better enjoy all the amenities I can. So, as what all people do when they go to the beach, I got dressed and decided to go running on the beach. And if you're not that person who runs out on the beach, well, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you, but running on the beach is cool, and it's a really neat experience. You get a really nice calf workout because the sand's all loose. But anyways, I truly did make the mistake of running against the wind first because it felt like I was staying still for a solid mile and a half. But once I turned around, I basically ran, and it was completely fine. The bad part about running against the wind, whenever you're wearing earbuds, the wind like blows in between your ear. I don't know about you, maybe because I have a cheap pair of earbuds, but the wind would constantly blow into my ear for some whatever reason. And so I'd hear the music, but then I would hear like a noise, and that was literally me for a mile and a half. And so that was probably maybe like 20 minutes of just hearing that noise just in my ear. But then when I turned around, everything was fine. Also, random kind of funny stories. So with me running, I actually forgot where the beach access I came on to was, and so I accidentally went to like another part of the resort, and so I entered in on a different way, and I was like, oh wait, where am I? And so I was a mile away from where my like hotel was, and so I basically ended up adding on an extra mile, which is completely fine. So my 3-mile run ended up being a 4-mile run. And with me adding on an extra mile, this is where it kind of interferes with the rest of my evening. So because I was running late, I wasn't able to, get ready and rehydrate in time because I had to go off to the restaurant. Went off to the restaurant, and this restaurant's like white tablecloths, fancy dinner. People are, wearing bow ties, and People were wearing dressed up shirts. I'm just wearing a button up and khakis, and that was pretty much good. And I think there was like a wedding next door. Like some people got married. I just remember like hearing clanking of glasses. People were laughing. They sound like they were having a good time. Meanwhile, me and the other applicants were just kind of sitting there like, okay, this is really weird, but okay. Um, so we were thankfully in a private room at least, but we still heard kind of the other guests outside of the room just because, again, there was a wedding there, so people were like cheering and stuff. But anyways, yeah, I just remember the whole entire time during that dinner. So the dinner was from 6:30, and we didn't leave until like 9 o'clock. And during that like 3 hour window, I just remember being so thirsty. And the bad part was that this fancy restaurant, so they had like small glasses. They were basically like maybe a little bit bigger than just a regular standard shot glass, honestly. And they were just using that as the water glass. And I just remember the whole entire time I was just so thirsty. I was downing these shots of water. And I pretty much was like, the whole entire time during dinner, I was just like, oh man, this is bad. And basically, the residents would talk, and the whole entire time I was like, oh man, is the waiter back? I really need more water. And, at times I was like thinking, man, maybe I should just ask for like the pitcher of water because I'm just so thirsty. But I really did appreciate kind of, on a more serious note, I really did appreciate how the residents were very real with all of us, and they kind of shared their stories about what was happening, and they really kind of, shared their perspective on the program, and I really enjoyed that insight. But, just kind of in the back of my brain, I was just like, listen, I just really want water. And so I was actually kind of ready to leave the dinner because I wanted to go to the grocery store so that way I can get one of those gallons of water, one of those like gallon jugs, kind of like what you see those gym bros have. That's basically what I really wanted. And needless to say, once 9 o'clock rolled around, I immediately went to a grocery store down there and bought one of those. But going back to the dinner, I ended up ordering sauteed shrimp and andouille sausage on top of ground Yellowstone grits. And basically, it was shrimp and grits. I honestly could have made it better. The portions were small, so that's when you know it's a fancy restaurant or a bougie restaurant, is whenever there's a small portion and you have to go to the store or go somewhere else to get the food. But I guess now that makes sense why the shot... I keep on calling them shot glasses. They basically were, but now I know why those water glasses were so small. It was probably because of the bougie prices, because, bougie means small. Anyways... outside of that, yeah, dinner was okay. In retrospect, it was good. It was just the only thing was I was just a very thirsty person that night, and so other than that, I think it was fine. So then, kind of going back to home, I think we all ended up ordering some cakes to go or some desserts to go. I had the option of ordering like a cheesecake, a brownie, a cookie, or and what I actually got was a 14-layer caramel cake. I actually made the mistake. I should have ordered the cheesecake, honestly, because once I got back home with my gallon jug of water and my cake, or my caramel 14-layer cake, the way they designed it was, or the way they made the cake was, it was very thin layers of cake. And so, because the layers were so thin, the cake was ultra dry. And the caramel tasted, I don't know, it almost tasted like that caramel syrup that you buy from the grocery store. So very generic, just straight up tastes like sugar with maybe a little bit of like caramel color flavor in it. That's what it tasted like. But it was just ultra dry. And I remember the whole entire time as I was eating this cake, I was like, oh man, I'm just like drinking some water along with it. I really wanted to buy like a glass of milk or buy like a small bottle of milk, but this grocery store, sadly, they didn't have like a small thing of milk. They only had like a half gallon. And honestly, I probably should have bought that half gallon because that cake was just so dry. It was bone dry. But anyways, sorry, I'm a big snob with food. Especially since I know how to make like cakes and stuff. So it's like one of those things where I just could not get over it because this restaurant was so fancy, but why couldn't they make a better cake? I don't know. Anyways, So that was just the interview dinner. So then moving on to, I guess, the evening, I was actually pretty tired after the dinner, I guess because of the complex social situation where you're kind of there. This is a pre-interview dinner. You're trying to like impress and you're trying to be professional. And, it's like that's kind of the things I did, even though I was really thirsty. That was probably the only thing. And so I just remember being like ultra tired. And so I went down, I went to bed pretty much, and basically I just remember like tossing and turning most of the night. It was really strange. I was really tired. I think the bed was like really lumpy because I just remember just not getting very comfortable at all. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but basically after after that I pretty much after that I pretty much went to bed. I want to say maybe like, I don't know, for a few hours, or I slept pretty good for a few hours, but just remember kind of just being very uncomfortable. But woke up the next morning and I wasn't as tired as I thought I was, but I felt like I was going to be a little bit better if I had a cup of coffee and have some breakfast. And I had to be at this hotel, sorry, not hotel. I had to be at this hospital to do part of a tour of the interview day at like maybe 8 o'clock. And so I thought about, so I ended up going down to part of the resort where they had the food at one of the country clubs or whatever. And I remember just kind of getting there in line, and it was kind of like a sit down situation. I don't know. They made it fancier than it needed to be, honestly. There was just so many people there getting breakfast, and literally the host guy said, yeah, I think all the tables are full. And I was just like, wait, what? I was like, I just wanted to get like food and just like quickly go to my room or go somewhere else to eat. But anyways, and he told me that there was like a 10-minute wait, and by this time it was about maybe 7:10, 7:20, and I was just like, yeah, I have a interview to get to, so maybe not. And so basically the guy was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And so I was just asking him, okay, well, I just really want a cup of coffee. And he's just like, oh yeah, I can definitely go get it for me. I can definitely go get it for you. And so he went and got me a cup of coffee, which was really nice. I went down to the courtyard, took a sip of the coffee. It tasted horrible. I unfortunately had to throw it away. And so by this time it was maybe about 7:30 or so, and so basically I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and drive to the clinical site, go ahead and get there early, do my get ready and get prepped so that way I look nice and everything. And I just remember like walking through that hospital, and I was just like, yeah, I'm hungry. I'm kind of crashing because I didn't have any coffee, and it's just kind of one of those like, oh man, this is not gonna be a good day. And so then eventually later on in the day, we did the interviews, and I made it through the 5 interviews, or 5 people who interviewed me. And I think my stomach growled a couple of times, and none of my interviewers, thankfully, like, I don't think they fully noticed or they didn't make like a weird comment or anything, so that's good. But yeah, overall, yeah, that's pretty much my interview experience. I was able to eat lunch. Lunch was great. I was starving. It was a sandwich, but I was just like, yeah, I'm starving. And I just remember being very tired at the end of all those interviews. I I was thinking about making it back to Columbia, but seeing that that was maybe 3+ hours away, or almost 3 hours away, I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna drive to Florence and just kind of crash there for the night. And so I drove to Florence, and I just crashed and woke up this morning, and it was great because I slept through the whole entire night, no tossing and turning. It was great. Um, but yeah, that was pretty much my interview experience. Like I said, very much internal dialogue. Again, not talking positive or negative about the program. That's just kind of how my internal dialogue was during the whole entire time during the interview and the pre-interview dinner. So one of the things that I am looking forward to that's coming up pretty soon, that's, I guess, not just doing another interview because I actually have another one on Friday. I actually have a Halloween get together to get to, and actually, it's been a while since I've Well, actually, no. I think I went to the last Halloween get together last year. But aside from that, I don't think I have done anything recently for Halloween in a while before that. But, anyways, moral of the story, every year, me and the Florence, I say every year, this is really the second and last year, but me and the Florence cohort, so a group of us at our medical school breaks off and goes to Florence to do clinical work because it's like a community hospital, therefore the medical students kind of get more of a intern type feel, so they have more hands-on experience and whatnot. So I decided to do that for my third and fourth year of medical school. So anyways, a group of us medical students who are there in Florence, we're actually doing a Halloween get together, and so I'm actually kind of excited for that. I've agreed to make a bougie dessert, and nobody knows about this except for my roommate, and she's kind of in the collaboration as well. But I believe I will be making my first ever baked Alaska, and I'm really excited because it basically is composed of ice cream, cake, and meringue, and I know how to make all three of those components. So I think for the ice cream, I'm going to be making like an orange saffron honey ice cream on top of maybe like a vanilla cake of some sort, like a very plain cake. And then I'm probably going to have a vanilla meringue on the outside. It's gonna be pretty cool because I get to play around with a kitchen torch or a blowtorch, so that's gonna be pretty fun to try to do that. Although the problem is that I will probably be making it after, or making the ice cream component after my interview on Friday, and the reason why is because I'm actually currently in Columbia right now, and I have my peds rotation, or pediatrics infectious disease rotation, starting Monday, and I have my interview, which I'll be doing here in Columbia because I have a workstation where I do my interviews at, and then from there I will have to drive to Florence to essentially make the ice cream, and hopefully it'll set by the time Saturday evening comes around, because that's when the Halloween get together is. So, anyways, moral of the story: have to do that, and I'll have to make the cake and the meringue. I'll have to make it there at the medical students' house that we'll be having the party at. Sorry, English is tough right now, but anyways, that's pretty much one of the things I'm really looking forward to, and I will have to keep you guys updated on that because I feel as if the blowtorch might affect the ice cream because, you're putting flame to ice cream, so it might melt. But I'm hoping, again, that it'll set fine, but I suppose if it does make a mess, at least it won't be at my house, so it should be fine. Ergo, I don't have to clean it up as well. But anyways, yeah, so those are pretty much the updates I wanted to give you guys, and wanted to check in and let you guys know that everything's alright. I survived. And actually, I wanted to go ahead and give you guys a heads up that I will be actually producing another podcast episode soon, and I will be featuring my first guest, so that'll be pretty exciting. Stay tuned for that. I have no idea when I'm going to upload the episode, but I will upload it eventually, needless to say. And I'm letting her choose the topics, so we shall see how that goes. But until then, I hope that you guys will do well, and I'll see you then, alright?